State Farm Analyst Desk, where we will be covering picks and bans for game number 3. Damwon chose red side, and as I believe we are already into those picks and bans, so we will pull them up as fast as possible. It is 1-1, all tied up in this world final. And Yamato said something in the green room before we headed up for his picks and bans. You said, I'm so excited. We're doing picks and bans for Suning, and things just don't apply like they usually would. You can get counter-picked, it doesn't matter. They might still pick it. You can pick something that wouldn't necessarily work, they're still gonna pick it.
Yeah, it's all about that comfort that we talked about at top of day, and it does make drafting at Suning an absolute nightmare. Imagine damwon losing to Tank, Rengar, and a Fiora composition. At that point, you're like, okay, get me on red side, get me these counter picks, and already out of the board, you can see that they're starting to pinch things like the Camille. I think that Suning, while Graves has been kind of like the big go-to priority pick on blue side, as well as the Lucian if it's left open, Angel hasn't shown the Lucian yet, and Suning have been showing that they've been willing to look across the Graves and actually prioritize something like a Jhin. So an Ashe being banned away makes me feel like this is going to be a very heavy Jhin priority first pick for Suning.
Also, I'm looking at the fact that damwon chose red side. It's very good for damwon that they won the first game on blue, because thinking about what Nuguri can do, what his potential is, this is the moment to showcase it, because I think they should leave that last pick for him in order to counterpick Ben and put himself in a position where he can potentially be the one that has a Ben performance.
Yeah, I mean, 2 games of Ornn so far. We want to see something different out of Nuguri.
So I do have some questions here. The Leona's the final ban. Now, it's not just the Graves that's left open. The Nidalee is also left open. And I think that was what the conversation was going to be. I expected Nidalee to actually hit the ban bench. So the fact that she was let through means that Jhin could now actually be locked in on the other side for damwon here, as we're starting to see very clear champion priority. Another reminder, banned from blue side in the Lucian. Angel isn't willing to grab it.
I think they're just going to look to trade the Jhin Graves, but I guess they can pick that later. Something that is important to note, the champions that usually synergize super well with Nidalee, the Renekton, Camille top, and of course the Twisted Fate, the Leona as well, although these are banned, so letting Nidalee go, I think there's something that you can play around with, the idea that the enemy needs to pick Graves on 3. Maybe they pick top lane already here, 2-3, because it's going to be hard to counter pick it already there on 3rd, because they need to pick Graves.
And you're always, I know, very high on synergy. Don't just pick the things because they might just fit by themselves. Make sure you have synergy between your lanes.
And right now we're not getting out of that. It seems like it's going to be a pretty skirmish heavy, every man for themselves, high agency on all of them. We expected setup to be available. Yamato was just talking about, you know, with a Nidalee, those champions that provide hard CC and setup, Renekton, Camille, Leona, Ashe, Twisted Fate, things like that.
You said comfort, well, hey.
I think right now Suning is asking the question, are you going to pick the Graves? How deep is your champion pool, Nuguri? Because you need to pick Graves on 3, and we're going to be able to ban 2 additional champions that might be counters into the Jax Akali. Or you're just going to go for the Lulu? You're just going to go for the Lulu? Is that what you're going to do, Nuguri, against me? That just carried the game and pentakilled? Maybe that's the case.
Oh, I love it. The call out to the pentakill, the first one in a Worlds final ever. That's got to give you some confidence, and there we go.
And like Yamato was saying, now you get to pinch the pools even farther to make sure that you can create necessary strong sides of the map. If that means that you throw more bans at the top side to make sure that Ben is just going to get to thrash whoever goes up there, or if you start sculpting something like your bot lane. Other big high priority picks are obviously going to be the support pole, and again, finding necessary setup.
You know, what's sad is from a point of view of if I just remove name tags, Ornn is still pretty good here.
Yeah.
That's what's so sad. So there is still a chance that Ornn might just get picked. And I know that it's easy to get carried away after a game like that where Ornn got annihilated and, the Jax and the Fioras are all over the place. But looking at the things that usually work, Ornn is still a fine pick here.
And that's why I think last game was so important, because it finally kind of broke the better team fighting top laner. Ornn versus Fiora. Everyone's going to say that Ornn is the better team fighting top laner, and a lot of these team fights are being decided by the top lane champion. But the fact that Suning won the last game with a performance, with a champion like Fiora, I think can flip the entire series on its head.
So the idea is just to remove all the supports and just 4th pick Pantheon, but I don't know if it is the right idea here to leave the Ezreal, because Ezreal is going to be that champion that is going to tie this composition together, give you something to always play for with that 2-core power spike.
There's a lot of question though on kind of what Sword Art will reach for next. If someone is having a weak series on the side of Suning so far in 2 games, it is going to be Sword Art. So if it is the Pantheon like you're talking about after banning away the Bard and the Thresh, although leaving it for last pick to make sure that Beryl and Ghost can get the stronger 2v2, like where does Swordart actually go from here? Probably still
Set,
prioritizing
yeah.
a heavy engaged champion like the Set, but he's been really running out of options, and even on his big pick of Leona, he hasn't looked that strong.
And it's not a counter pick for the top lane. It is the Kennen, which we've seen from Nagori before, betting all in on those team fights as well.
To be fair, the Cannon matchup should be good into Jax, but Ben's Jax is just something else. He won against Renekton, he won against Ornn, he's doing things that, you know, maybe he's gonna go Halo Blades and win against a Kennen, I don't know. You know, on paper, this should be super winning against Kennen, but I don't know what to trust anymore. Alistar blind pick, I think, is quite dangerous. I'm hoping Barrel is ready to play Gragas.
The nice thing about Alistar, especially LPL Alistars, in this case an LMS Alistar, is how it works against Kennen. If Kennen comes in and if Swordart's on point, he just needs to play goalkeeper and just kick that little rat straight out of it. And then also Baron defense. If Suning are ever in a position where from blue side, they get control over the Baron pit, LPL Alistars love to stand on the back of the Baron pit and again, play goalkeeper. It's something that these teams run again and again. So watch Swordart's positioning when it comes to those big Baron fights.
Well, we've got a goalkeeper in the Alistar and an Ezreal who has a cool football skin, and as you said, it is going to be the Ezreal. So why does Ezreal round out this comp so well?
Because Ezreal is never weak. He's always going to be strong. He's always going to give you something to play for. He's going to be able to, you know, cover a lot of distance. He's going to be able to gain a lot of mid control. Braum last pick is surprising, but I guess Braum or Set. Sets, I would love Set, yeah.
I think it also then empowers the fact that they don't have a lot of CC built into their composition, so adding something like a Braum is going to help sprinkle that CC around. So far in Sunni's comp, really great breakpoints on 1 and 2 items especially. Then you do have hyperscaling in the form of the Jax playing a 1-4 and being very safe with the Ezreal. On the other side for damwon, this is a very front-to-back, team-fight-oriented composition with really strong, high 2v2 jungle mid.
Looking at damwon's composition, I think early game is going to be super, super easy for them. If they manage to snowball, this game is going to be fine, but some of the items that Suning can buy, Mercuries, they